Welcome to the 700 Club. Tributes to my father's legacy have been pouring in since his passing last Thursday. Today, presidential candidate Mike Pence shares his thoughts on my father's impact on America and the world.
In an exclusive interview with CBN News, the former vice president said the foundation on which to build a better future for America was, quote, in large measure for the last 50 years poured by Pat Robertson. CBN's chief political analyst David Brody caught up with Pence in New Hampshire.
Hey, everybody. Hi, folks. As Mike Pence begins his run for the presidency at traditional stops like Maryanne's Diner in Derry, New Hampshire, he took time to sit down with CBN News and talk about something near and dear to his heart, the legacy of Pat Robertson.
Pat Robertson was a man whose faith and his commitment to American ideals will impact generations of Americans. And his testimony for Christ and sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ, not just around America, but around the world, has literally changed lives.
Pence reveals the impact Pat made on his life.
I felt drawn to Christian broadcasting because I'd made a decision as a college student to accept Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior. And I got a copy of Shout It from the Rooftops. And I couldn't put it down, David.
And that book and Pat's obedience to Christ led to much fruit.
I know if Pat were still with us, he would give God the glory. But the debt that we owe to him as believers and as Americans, I think has to be paid with honor and remembering all that he did at CBN and far beyond that to impact the advance and the vitality of conservative traditional values in America.
Those conservative traditional values and the Republican Party, he in essence kind of joined them at the hip. I mean, he was a trailblazer in this area.
It's hard for me to imagine that the entire generation of Christian leaders, many of whom I've come to know personally, were not deeply impacted by his trailblazing boldness to step out as a believer and speak openly about his commitment to Christ and his commitment to traditional values.
Talk to me a little bit about the culture today. I mean, you know, Pat was so at the front lines of the cultural wars of the 70s and 80s, and he brought it into the forefront in the 90s with the Christian Coalition. But here we are today in a world that has gone haywire.
You know, sometimes it's darkest just before the dawn.
That's true.
And I sense among the American people a great anxiety and a great concern about where the country is. But I'm confident. I'm confident that God is not done with America yet. And the future that we chart, the foundation on which we build, I believe in large measure, in the last 50 years was poured by Pat Robertson.
David Brody, CBN News, on the road with Mike Pence in New Hampshire.